Good evening, family. And if you take this advice, trust me, your life will be a whole lot smoother. When you have a dream, a goal, or a vision for your life, the first thing you want to do is share it. You're excited, you're motivated, and you want the world to know what's coming. But let me tell you something. Not everybody is going to be happy for you. Not everybody is going to clap when you win. And some people, whether intentionally or not, will plant seeds of doubt in your mind before you even get started. That's why it's so important to keep your goals to yourself until they become a reality. The moment you start telling people what you're about to do, you invite opinions. And opinions, my friend, can be dangerous. Some people will doubt you just because they don't believe in themselves. They'll say things like, "You sure that's a good idea?" or "That's going to be really hard." And before you know it, you start questioning yourself. You start wondering if maybe they're right, maybe it's too difficult, maybe you're dreaming too big. But the truth is, the only reason they're doubting you is because they could never see themselves doing it. Their fear has nothing to do with you, but if you're not careful, you'll let their fears become your own. Then you have the ones who act like they support you, but secretly don't want to see you win. They'll smile in your face, nod their head, and say, "That's amazing," but deep down, they're hoping you fail. Some people don't like to see others elevate because it reminds them that they're standing still. Your progress makes them uncomfortable. So instead of cheering for you, they'll subtly discourage you. They'll point out all the things that could go wrong, all the obstacles in your way, all the reasons why it might not work. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe them. Then there are the ones who take your idea and run with it. You tell them about a new business you're starting, a project you're working on, or an opportunity you're chasing, and the next thing you know, they're doing it before you even get the chance. Some people don't have original ideas. They just wait for someone else to have one and then try to beat them to it. And now you're sitting there wondering why you spoke too soon. Because instead of working in silence, you gave someone else the blueprint. You also have to understand that when you talk too much about your goals, you lose some of the energy needed to achieve them. There's something powerful about keeping things to yourself. It builds focus, determination, and hunger. But when you announce everything too early, it's like letting the air out of a balloon before it even takes off. You get so caught up in talking about what you're going to do that you lose the fire to actually do it. And let's be real. Talking feels good. It makes you feel accomplished, like you're already on your way. But talking is not the same as doing. Plans without action are just dreams. And dreams don't come true without work. Another thing you have to consider is that timing is everything. Sometimes the right move at the wrong time becomes the wrong move. When you share your goals too soon, you invite pressure. Now people are watching, asking for updates, waiting to see if you follow through. And that pressure can be overwhelming. Instead of focusing on making progress, you start worrying about proving yourself. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They rush the process just to show results instead of taking the time to build something real. Protecting your goals is about protecting your energy. It's about understanding that not every seed needs to be exposed before it grows. Farmers don't plant crops and then dig them up every day to show the world what's happening. No, they let them grow underground in silence until the time is right. And when that time comes, the results speak for themselves. Money is one of the most sensitive topics in the world. The moment people find out what you have or don't have, they start treating you differently. Some people will envy you, some will judge you, and others will find ways to take advantage of you. That's why your financial situation should never be a topic of discussion. Whether you're struggling or thriving, keeping your money matters private is one of the smartest things you can do. When people know you have money, they start expecting things from you. Suddenly, friends and family come around with stories about why they need a little help. They tell you it's just this one time, but somehow it's never just once. They assume that because you have it, you should give it. And the worst part, the moment you say no, they start looking at you differently. Now you're selfish. Now you've changed. But what they don't understand is that just because you have money doesn't mean it's up for grabs. You work for it, you earned it, and you have the right to decide what to do with it. Then there are the ones who don't ask for money outright, but suddenly want to be in your circle. They see you doing well, and now they want to be your best friend. They invite you places, act extra nice, and try to get close to you. But their intentions aren't real. They don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. And the moment they realize you're not handing out favors, they disappear just as fast as they showed up. Talking about money also invites unnecessary opinions. If you're struggling financially, people will judge you. They'll start giving you unsolicited advice, telling you what you should be doing, how you should be spending, and what you need to change. But half the time, the people giving advice don't even have their own finances in order. On the other hand, if people know you're doing well, they'll start watching your every move. They'll comment on what you buy, where you go, and how you spend. If you take a vacation, they say, must be nice. If you buy something new, they say, you got money like that? It's never just congratulations or encouragement. It's always a little shade, a little side eye, a little something that makes you feel like you have to explain yourself. Another problem with sharing your financial situation is that it makes you a target. Some people don't want to work for their own success. They just want to find someone who already has it and figure out how to take advantage. Whether it's through scams, manipulation, or straight up lies, they'll do whatever they can to benefit from what you've built. And sometimes it's the people closest to you, the ones you trust, the ones you never thought would betray you. That's why it's better to keep people guessing. Let them wonder, let them assume, but never confirm. Even in relationships, money can cause problems when it's openly discussed. If one person makes more than the other, resentment can build. Expectations change. Arguments start. Some people get into relationships for love, but others see it as a financial opportunity. They're not interested in growing together. They're interested in what they can get. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself in a situation where you're being used instead of being loved. Money also has a way of changing the way people see themselves. When you talk too much about what you have, you might start believing that your worth is tied to your wealth. You start making decisions based on how much money you can show rather than how much security you can build. You buy things to impress people who don't even matter. You start living for approval instead of living for stability, and that's a dangerous place to be. At the end of the day, whether you have a lot or a little, your financial situation is nobody's business. What you make, what you save, what you spend, that's for you to know and for others to never find out. There's a certain power in keeping your next move to yourself. The moment you start telling people what you're about to do, you give them a chance to interfere. Some people will try to talk you out of it, some will try to beat you to it, and others will pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. When you move in silence, you eliminate outside distractions and stay focused on what really matters. Execution. One of the biggest mistakes people make is announcing their plans too soon. The excitement takes over and they start telling everybody what they're working on. But the problem is not everyone listening has good intentions. Some people will act supportive in front of you, but will start working behind the scenes to block your progress. They might talk to the wrong person, spread doubt, or even sabotage opportunities you haven't even had the chance to take yet. There are people who don't want to see you elevate because it reminds them of what they haven't done. Instead of using your ambition as motivation, they see it as a threat. And when you share your next move, you're giving those people a head start and stopping you. Then you have the ones who won't try to stop you, but they will try to copy you. You tell someone about a new business idea, a job opportunity, or a creative project you're working on, and suddenly they're doing the same thing. Some people don't have the drive to create their own path, so they wait for someone else to lay the groundwork. And because you spoke too soon, you now have competition in a race you thought you were running alone. The worst part is, sometimes they'll get ahead simply because they had fewer obstacles in their way. You were the one with the vision, but they were the ones who executed first. And just like that, your idea is no longer yours. Sharing your plans too soon also adds unnecessary pressure. The moment people know what you're working on, they start expecting results. Every time you see them, they ask, "How's that thing going?" Or, "Did you make any progress yet?" And if things don't happen as quickly as they think they should, they start doubting you. That doubt can be contagious. Even if you were confident in your plan before, constant questioning can make you second-guess yourself. You start feeling like you have to prove something, and in that rush to show progress, you might make mistakes or move too fast before you're truly ready. There's also the danger of losing motivation when you talk too much about your goals. Studies have shown that when people announce their intentions, their brain gets the same sense of accomplishment as if they had already done the work. The more you talk, the less urgency you feel to actually take action. You get caught up in the praise, the encouragement, the feeling of people believing in you, so much so that you forget believing isn't enough. Talking about the plan isn't the same as executing it. The energy you should be using to take steps forward gets wasted in conversations that don't bring you any closer to your goal. When you move in silence, you give yourself the space to grow without interference. You have time to make adjustments, to figure things out, to build a strong foundation before anyone has a chance to shake it. You don't owe anyone updates. You don't have to explain your progress. You don't have to defend your decisions. You get to focus on what truly matters, making sure that when you finally reveal what you've been working on, it's undeniable. People respect results more than they respect promises. They react differently when they see you succeed instead of just hearing you talk about what you plan to do. Moving in silence isn't about being secretive for no reason. It's about protecting your vision from distractions, doubters, and unnecessary setbacks. The less they know, the less they can interfere. The less they expect, the more they're surprised. The less you speak, the more your actions speak for themselves. Relationships are built on trust, understanding, and communication between two people. The moment you start sharing your relationship problems with others, you invite outside voices into something that should be private. What happens between you and your partner is not for the world to dissect, analyze, or judge. The more you let people in, the more control you give them over something they have no business being a part of. One of the biggest mistakes people make is running to friends and family every time something goes wrong in their relationship. When emotions are high, it's easy to want to vent, to get advice, or to have someone take your side. But the problem with that is, you and your partner might move past the issue, but the people you told will not forget. You and your partner might forgive each other, but the ones you complain to will still hold on to what happened. Now, every time they see your partner, they're looking at them differently. They're judging them based on the worst moments you shared instead of seeing the full picture of your relationship. Another issue is that not everyone giving advice actually wants to see you happy. Some people secretly want what you have. They don't want to see you work things out because deep down, They would rather see your relationship fail. They might pretend to be supportive, but their advice is designed to push you further apart instead of bringing you back together. Misery loves company, and if someone isn't happy in their own relationship, they might not want to see yours succeed. You have to be careful who you let speak into your situation, because not every opinion is coming from a place of love. There are also those who give advice based on their own experiences, not realizing that what worked or didn't work for them may not apply to you. Every relationship is different, and every person handles conflict in their own way. Just because someone else walked away from a situation doesn't mean you should. Just because someone else tolerated something doesn't mean you have to. The danger in sharing your problems is that you open the door for outside influence, and if you're not careful, you'll start making decisions based on what other people think instead of what you truly feel. When you let too many people into your relationship, you create unnecessary tension between you and your partner. Nobody likes feeling like they're being talked about, especially by someone they're supposed to trust. If your partner finds out you've been sharing private details with others, it can lead to resentment, betrayal, and even more problems than you started with. Some things are meant to be handled between the two people involved, not turned into a discussion for outsiders who don't understand the full context. Social media makes this even worse. Too many people air out their relationship issues online, looking for validation, sympathy, or just attention. But putting your problems on display invites opinions from people who don't even know you. Strangers start making comments, friends start taking sides, and before you know it, what should have been a private matter turns into public drama. The internet never forgets. And once you put something out there, you can't take it back. Even if you delete it, someone has already seen it, shared it, or remembered it. Some conversations need to stay between you and your partner. If something is truly serious and you need guidance, seek wisdom from someone you trust, like a mentor or a counselor. Someone with experience and an unbiased perspective. But running to just anyone with your problems will only create more confusion. The healthiest relationships are the ones where both people protect what they have. They don't let outside opinions dictate how they move. They communicate with each other instead of letting others get in their heads. The strongest relationships aren't the ones with the fewest problems. They're the ones that know how to work through issues without making them everybody's business. Doing good for others is one of the most powerful things you can do in life. But the moment you start announcing it to the world, the meaning behind it changes. True kindness doesn't need validation, and real generosity doesn't come with an audience. When you do something good, whether it's helping someone in need, giving to charity, or supporting a friend, it should come from the heart, not for recognition. The more you talk about it, the more it seems like you're doing it for the applause instead of the impact. There's a difference between inspiring others and seeking attention. Some people share their good deeds to encourage others to give, and that's understandable. But too often, people do it to build an image. They want to be seen as generous, kind, and selfless. But the problem is that if you're truly those things, you don't have to prove it. When your actions speak for themselves, people will recognize your character without you having to say a word. But when you constantly talk about the good things you do, it starts to feel less like generosity and more like self-promotion. The moment you brag about helping someone, you take away from the purity of the act. Giving should be about the person receiving, not about the giver looking good. If someone is struggling, the last thing they need is for their situation to become a story for you to tell. Imagine being in a tough spot, accepting help, and then seeing your name or situation being talked about just so someone else can look charitable. That's not kindness. That's using someone's pain as a way to boost your own reputation. True giving is done in silence because it's not about credit. It's about making a real difference. Some people use their good deeds as a way to elevate themselves above others. They'll say things like, I gave so much money to this cause, or I helped this person when no one else would. But the moment you frame generosity as something that makes you better than someone else, it stops being generosity. It becomes a way to feed the ego, to create a sense of superiority. And if the only reason you're helping someone is so you can say you did, then you're not really helping for the right reasons. Another reason to keep your good deeds to yourself is that not everyone will appreciate them the way you expect. When you announce what you've done, people start questioning your motives. They wonder if you did it out of sincerity or just for the attention. And sometimes they'll even pick apart how you did it. Instead of being appreciated for helping, you might hear, "Why didn't you give more?" Or "You could have done it differently." The more you talk about what you've done, the more you open yourself up to judgment, and suddenly something that was meant to be positive turns into something that gets criticized. When you help others quietly, it builds real connections. The people who benefit from your kindness will remember how you made them feel, not because you told the world, but because your actions made an impact. It creates a sense of trust, a genuine bond that isn't tied to social approval. People know that if you're helping them, it's not for show. It's because you truly care. And that kind of giving, the kind that isn't broadcasted, is the kind that makes the biggest difference. There's a reason why some of the most generous people in the world don't talk about what they do. They understand that real giving doesn't need recognition. They don't need their name on a plaque. They don't need applause. And they don't need to post about every good thing they do. They give because they want to, because it's the right thing to do, and because they know that the reward isn't in the recognition, it's in the impact. The best acts of kindness are the ones that happen when nobody is watching, the ones done in silence, the ones that leave a mark without leaving a trace of who did it. Your past is your business. What you've been through, the mistakes you've made, the struggles you've overcome, those are parts of your story that not everyone needs to know. Some people say they want to hear your past so they can understand you better, but in reality, many just want something to use against you. The moment you start sharing too much, you give people ammunition to judge, criticize, or even manipulate you. Not everyone asking about your past has good intentions. And once you open that door, you can't always control what happens next. There are people who will pretend to be understanding, but the moment they know certain things about you, their attitude changes. Maybe you made some bad choices when you were younger. Maybe you struggled financially, or maybe you had a rough upbringing. Instead of seeing how far you've come, some people will only see where you started. They will define you by your past instead of recognizing your growth. They might even use it to make themselves feel better, comparing their life to yours and thinking they are superior because they didn't go through what you did. Then there are those who will take what you tell them and twist it. You might share something personal in confidence, believing that you're speaking to someone you can trust, but later, you hear that same story from someone else's mouth, except now it's been changed, exaggerated, or used to make you look bad. People love gossip, and if they find something in your past that makes for a good story, they won't always keep it to themselves. And once certain things are out there, you can't take them back. A private mistake from years ago can suddenly become the main thing people remember about you, all because you trusted the wrong person with the wrong information. Some people will even use your past as a weapon. If they ever want to hurt you, win an argument, or gain the upper hand, they'll bring up things you've already moved past. They'll remind you of your failures, your bad decisions, and your lowest moments, not because they care, but because they want to weaken you. When someone knows too much about your past, they have the ability to pull you back into it whenever it suits them. That's why it's so important to be selective about what you share and with whom. Not everyone deserves access to the details of your journey. Another problem with sharing too much about your past is that it can trap you in an old version of yourself. You might be working hard to become a better person, to change your habits, to build a new life. But if you keep bringing up where you came from, you risk staying mentally tied to it. The more you talk about the old you, the harder it is to fully step into the new you. Sometimes Moving forward requires leaving certain things unsaid. You don't have to deny your past, but you also don't have to carry it like a banner for everyone to see. It's not about being ashamed of where you came from. It's about protecting your peace. Not everyone needs to know your struggles. Not everyone deserves to hear your pain. Some people won't understand, some won't care, and some will only pretend to listen while looking for ways to use it against you. What matters most is that you know your own story, that you've learned from it, and that you are moving forward in a way that serves you. There is power in mystery, in keeping certain things for yourself, in not allowing the world to define you by what you've been through. The strongest people aren't the ones who share everything. They're the ones who know what to keep private. They choose their words carefully. They share their history only with those who have proven they can be trusted, and they don't let their past be used as a tool against them. Growth means understanding that not everyone deserves access to your personal history. Some things are best left in the past, where they belong, and some stories should only be told to those who have earned the right to hear them.